So, you've probably heard the name Virgin Galactic, right? For years, it's been all about this dream of spaceflight for everyone. But here's the thing, a dream doesn't exactly pay the bills. Now they've got an official plan to turn this whole thing into a real money-making business. The big question is, can they build their future before the clock runs out? Let's break it down.
Okay, so what you're looking at right here, this isn't some digital render or a concept drawing. No, this is real metal sitting in a real factory right now. And this represents a huge shift for Virgin Galactic. I mean, they're moving on from building these one-off prototypes to creating an entire fleet. So, how in the world are they actually pulling this off?
Right, so their original ship, Unity, think of it as a proof of concept. It showed it could be done. But you can't run a business on that. To do that, you need an assembly line. And that's where this Delta class comes in. And these aren't just copies of the original, not at all. They're designed from the ground up to be lighter, stronger, and this is the most important part, reusable on a weekly basis, not monthly. And that speed, well, that's the key to actually making some money.
So what does building a whole new fleet of spaceships actually look like, on the ground? Well, let's go inside their new manufacturing facility out in Arizona and see for ourselves how these incredible machines are taking shape, piece by piece.
And here we are. We're on the factory floor. What you're looking at is the very backbone of a Delta-class ship. I mean, every future flight, every single passenger is going to depend on the strength of this one structure. This is it. This is where that dream starts becoming a physical reality.
Okay, and then comes one of the most critical steps in this whole process. This is the moment that wing structure gets joined to the main fuselage. Just look at the scale here, the number of people involved, the incredible precision it requires. This is where all those separate puzzle pieces really start to look like an actual spaceship.
And finally, you see these massive components being carefully lowered into place. You know that 5-ton crane isn't just lifting a piece of metal, it's lifting the entire future of the company. The dream is literally being bolted together. So with the ship taking form, the next big question is, when does this thing actually fly?
Yeah, this is all incredibly exciting from an engineering standpoint for sure. But it all leads to the big question everyone's asking. When are these new ships actually going to fly? Well, Virgin Galactic has laid out a very specific, very public roadmap.
And here it is. This is their official roadmap. And look, 2026 is the make-or-break year. It all kicks off in Q2 with something they call weight on wheels. That's the moment the first new ship stands on its own landing gear, a huge milestone for the engineers. While that's happening, the old Unity ship gets put back to work in Q3 for training flights, to keep the pilots and the crew sharp. But the really big moment, that's Q4. That's when the first Delta ship rolls out of the factory and arrives at the spaceport. And that's when testing begins and the real countdown to commercial service starts.
But building the future? Well, it comes at a cost. And this is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. We've seen the ambitious engineering plan, but now we have to look at the harsh economic reality that's powering it all. This isn't just a race to space, it's a race against the clock.
This one number, it explains everything. $95 million. And no, that's not revenue. That's how much cash the company burned through in just 3 months to build those spaceships we just saw. It's the cost of the dream, and it sets the pace for this entire race.
So that $95 million figure, in finance, that's known as free cash flow. Now, for a company like Virgin Galactic that's in a heavy building phase, it basically just means their cash burn. It's the net amount of money they're spending to build their spaceships before those ships can actually start earning any money from flights. Pretty simple, right?
And look, this spending isn't a surprise or a mistake, it's the plan. They burned through $95 million at the end of last year, and they're telling us they expect to spend about the same in the next quarter. All that incredible progress we saw in the factory, the wings, the fuselage, well, this is what it costs, quarter after quarter. So, if they're burning through roughly $95 million a quarter, the next question is obvious. How long can they last? This is the other side of the equation. Right now, they have $338 million in the bank. You can do the quick math. That gives them just over 3 quarters, less than a year of runway at this rate. That is the race. And this brings us right to the core conflict at the heart of the Virgin Galactic story right now. It's a classic battle, really. You've got this incredibly ambitious, world-changing vision on one side, and then the cold, hard numbers of financial reality on the other.
So yeah, it really just boils down to this. On one side, you've got the plan, the ambition, a super detailed roadmap to build a whole fleet and basically create a new industry. And on the other side, you have the reality. a financial clock that is ticking down at a rate of nearly $100 million every 3 months.
So, it all comes down to a simple, incredibly high-stakes race. They've got the plan, they're building the hardware, and they know the deadline. But that financial clock is ticking, and believe me, it is unforgiving. The question isn't just if they can build their spaceships, it's whether they can build them fast enough. Their entire future depends on the answer.